exciting. Opening week, really being at the house a little bit Saturday, watching some of the other teams play, you can't help but get excited this time of year. I know our guys are ready to play. I've had a good fall camp, really been pleased with the attitude, the work ethic, the focus with our offensive guys has been really good. I think we got a group of guys that are hungry with a lot to prove, and I'm really excited to watch them play and get their opportunity on Saturday. Kent State, they've got 7 defensive players returning from last year. I don't think they're going to be overwhelmed coming into Clemson. They played at Penn State and at Alabama last year. I believe Penn State kicked a field goal right before half to go up 16-13 at half, and so they've already been in some venues similar to Death Valley. They got some good returning guys in the secondary. I believe both of their corners were all-conference players last year, and got 2 guys returning up front, 1 linebacker. Very active up front, and they do a good job on defense. So it'll be a good challenge for our guys, and really for us each week. We got to know our opponent. We got to know what they do well, and game plan for the opponent. But at the end of the day, our message to our guys is it's all about Clemson, and it's not about who we play. It's about how we play, and really putting that focus on ourselves and on our execution. And I feel like our guys have been doing that so far. And with that, I'll open up for any questions.
What do you wait to see from these third choice before you pursue this?
Yeah, well, I think, as coaches, we've had around 40 practices, counting spring practice and fall camp. And obviously there's a lot of analysis, and all those guys have really done a good job. But CJ has definitely risen to the top, and over 2,000 reps of practice all those guys have gotten. You got to have a starting point. And so he'll definitely be the guy getting that starting point. And then, all those guys, just like at any position, they're going to get opportunities. And then what they do with those opportunities in games will really kind of dictate, how the playing time goes from there. But really not disappointed in any of those guys in that group. And then Travis Etienne is a guy that we're really excited to get out there. He's been very explosive in fall camp, and really looking forward to seeing what he does out there in his first college game.
Right tackle situation, you still got it at 4. Is that going to go right until game time for y'all make a decision?
Yeah, and I think it's really a good thing. We got 2 guys there, and Sean Pollard and Ankrum, that have done a good job competing, and really like where we are with both of those guys. I think both of those guys will play, and how they do this week will really probably determine who runs out there for the first play. But regardless who goes out there for the first play, I think both of those guys are going to get some good opportunity in the game, and then it kind of goes like we're talking about running back. It goes from practice reps and evaluation now to game reps, and see how they grade out and how they do, and that could be something just like any position that flip-flops a little bit as the season goes.
Jeff, I know you've had worked with these guys for a couple of years, but with these new starters on offense, is there any nervousness, any concern, any excitement? These guys get
I would say probably the word is excitement, rather than nervousness or concern or anything like that. I think any time that you're starting off a new season, you haven't played in, 8 months or so, it's kind of excited to get back out there. We've been going against our defense for a long time. We're ready to go against somebody else's defense for a change. But I think as coaches, we're excited. And I think the reason is we've seen these guys prepare, and we know that these guys are ready, and that doesn't mean that they're not going to go out there and make mistakes. That they are, and that's part of it. And especially especially in your early games. But I think these guys are ready. They put in the work, had a great off-season, really, that started in January, and these guys have been waiting for their time. And that's one thing that's special and unique about college football as opposed to the NFL is that, every few years you're going to have guys leave, and that's just part of the business. And so having those guys prepared and those guys really working hard for when their opportunity comes is something that we talk about all the time, and I have no doubt these guys have been working for this opportunity, and so it's going to be fun to be able to see them go out and make plays and see this new offense for 2017, really see how it comes together.
Coach, how do you see the tight end position shaking out? Do you see DJ Greenlee and Ken Smith getting a bunch of playing time, or do you think Milan will get the lion's share of the snap?
Yeah, well, I think Milan has definitely earned the opportunity to be the starter. I've been really pleased with what he's done in fall camp. And then I really think there's three guys behind Milan with DJ Cannon and also Shadell Bell. Shadell's a guy that kind of gets forgotten about a little bit because he moved over from wide receiver, but he's made a lot of progress. I think he was banged up a little bit in fall camp, missed about a week or so. That kind of put him a little bit behind, but really we've got confidence in all four of those guys that they know what to do. And the biggest thing is going to be, okay, now you're in a game, who are the guys that can step up and make the plays in the games when we need it, and that'll be part of the early evaluation.
Jeff, you mentioned hunger. These guys have been waiting on their time. Is that maybe a good bit different from last year where they spent the early part of the season sort of dealing with that, learning how to deal with the target on their chest, and being sort of that they had already established?
Yeah, I think each year is unique. It's different with the makeup that you have within your offense, and this happens to be a year that we're replacing a lot of those key starters that have been around here for a long time. And sometimes when you have the situation we have this year, there's even more focus and even more attention to detail and maybe preparation and all those things, getting ready because these guys know they have an opportunity for their first start or first opportunity. But I also would say that the culture within our program has always been one where, really we have not allowed the veteran guys to just relax or go out there. That group last year, even though we might have got off to a slow start, I don't think it was because the guys weren't focused or the guys didn't practice real hard or anything like that. I think it's just kind of football, and it just kind of happened, and it took us a little while to get going. But I definitely think there's a difference this year with so many, and when we say new guys, these aren't true freshmen that we're counting on going out there and starting in the first game. These are guys that have been around, but really their first opportunity to be a starter and be a guy that we're counting on. There's an excitement that comes with that, and there is definitely a hunger and a chip on the shoulder and all those type of things that I think is good as a coach.
Concerning the depth chart, we know that a player like Deshaun Watson, Lane Ballman, Mike, they had a long leash. But is the depth chart maybe more fluid than it has been in years past? Or does Kelly Bryant and C.J. Fuller have that long leash that, hey, even if one of those guys struggles this week, they'll probably still be in there next week?
Yeah, well, I think, we always like to talk about competition, and I think we have one of the deepest groups, even though we might not have as experienced of an offense as we've had in the past. I think the depth that we have offensively is probably the best that it's been since I've been at Clemson in 9 years. I really do. And when you have good depth, it creates good competition. And up until this point, for the last 8 months, all we've had is practice for those guys to compete, and that's how you come up with the depth chart. And now we're entering a new phase when the season starts, and we're going to obviously grade every rep meticulously and all those type of things, but there's nobody that has a lifetime contract or anything like that whenever we get out there going. Now, some of those guys like Deshaun and Wayne, some of their maybe they had a little bit of money in the bank, but it really came from what they have done in games and their production production over years in games and all those type of things. And so these guys get an opportunity to really establish that. But it's not something that we're not using the term short leash or anything like that. I mean, we're fully going into this game expecting these starters to play well. And, and that's why they're a starter. These guys that we chose to be a starter on this depth chart is because they earned it. And, we have a saying around here that best is the standard. And so in everyone's mind, in our offensive room with Coach Sweeney and everybody, these guys are the very best that we have as of this moment going into the game. It's not the safest pick or anything like that. It's the very best. And like I said earlier, we've got over 2,000 reps between spring practice and fall camp to evaluate these guys and be on the field with them for 3 hours and then go right up there and be in the film room for 3 hours grading them. And so every one of those guys are there because they've earned it. And now it's a new opportunity. The game starts, and how we go after this game will determine really at every position how they produce with their opportunity.
Do you approach this game with even a slight movement of when and where you might want to get your second, third quarterbacks in, or is it purely a wait and see how things pan out?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been a little bit of talk about that, but for us, really, we're wanting this first group to go out there and play the game. And then how the game goes, the way the score goes, and just the flow of the game and all that will really dictate how the other guys play. But, Coach Sweeney says all the time that he wants to play he challenges us as coaches. He wants to play as many guys that deserve to play. And just because you're on the team doesn't mean you deserve to play. That comes from what you've done on the practice field and having the trust and respect of your coaches and teammates. But we do have a lot of guys on this offense, including quarterback, that have done enough to kind of earn that opportunity when those opportunities come. And so we're just going to have to see how the game goes. And obviously Coach Sweeney and Coach Streeter and myself and Tony and all be kind of in conversation with that. But to be honest, that's not something other than saying that we'd like to get those other guys in the game. That's really as far as we've taken it to this point. But there's not some set plan or schedule rotation or anything like that because we feel like we have our starter going into the game.
Do you expect or hope to get any other guys in on punt returns, or are you just going to stick with Ray for the most part there?
Yeah, well, just like we say, it's a new year and it's a new beginning. So we're going into it with an open mind. Ray's done a good job throughout the preseason. And, there's no doubt that he's got the talent back there to do it, and very dangerous when he gets the ball in his hands. I know it's something he's spent a lot of time working on in the offseason, and especially here in fall camp. And so we're excited for him to get that opportunity. But just like any position, there's other guys that are ready to go if we need to go that route.
Jeff, do you feel like your guys now have done a good job putting last year in perspective? And do you think any of that will be challenged because the 80,000 in the stadium haven't seen them play in person here since last year, and they'll want it to be kind of more a celebration of last year as much as the start is?
Well, I kind of go back to what Coach Sweeney has worked really hard to develop here with the culture over the last 7 or 8 years, and that culture always being about what's next, what's in front of us, that windshield mentality that, we've got a big windshield for a reason. We got a very small rear view mirror. And, and that's something that's been ingrained in our guys since they've been here. And that's when good things have happened in the past, and also, after Pitt, we had the same conversation. Hey, we got to learn from the past, but it's about what's ahead of us. We still have everything in front of us. And so I think because that's been ingrained in our guys, it really hasn't been an issue up to this point. I think the guys are very focused. I think they put last year behind and are really excited about this year, and same way with the coaches. I think if we didn't have that foundation, then it maybe would have been a bigger deal, something for us to really talk about and spend a lot of time. But to be honest, since these guys showed up in January, Coach Sweeney's awesome. I mean, he's the kind that, hey, when it's time to celebrate it, we're going to celebrate it. We're not going to hide from it. And, hey, I want you guys, we're going to have a great time at the parade, and we're going to have a great time getting our rings. And, all right, now we did that to the fullest. Now it's time to flip the page, and we need to put all our focus on this. And I really feel like our guys have bought into that. But I'm sure with being the first game back in Death Valley, and there'll be some excitement with that, which there's nothing wrong with that. We hope to have this problem more in the future.
What's that?
All right.